Okay, now let's make our animations to actually do something and to actually work. For that, well, we will go in Animator. Here, as you remember, we have these animation states. For now, we will concentrate on idle, run, and jump, and we will work on shoot when we start working on our shooting. And well, we have the animation clips, but we don't have anything to connect them together. For that, they will need to have transitions between them. To make transition between states, for example, let's select idle, let's right click on it, let's click make transition, and let's make transition to run, just like this. We'll need transition from run back to idle, just like this. Now let's make transition from idle to jump and one back from jump to idle. Also, we will need transition from run to jump. And that's pretty much it. We don't need transition back from jumping to running because they are already connected. Now they have transition, but Unity still doesn't know when exactly to transition between animation clips and animation states. For that, we need to work on conditions. And if you see, we have here parameters. Those parameters can act like conditions. Right now, our list is empty, but it's not a problem. We can click plus, and here we have 4 different types of parameters. For now, let's select float, and I will call it speed with a capital S. So let's create transition speed. Let's create parameter speed. And also I will click plus and I will click Boolean. And let's call this one grounded with a capital G. As for now, we only need those 2 parameters. Now, how to use parameters? Let's select transition from idle to run. You see they have arrows, so don't get confused. Select transition from idle to run. And first of all, we don't need exit time, so uncheck this exit time. And let's open these settings and transition duration. We need to make 0 because I want my animations to happen instantly. And now let's think when we want to go in running states. Well, obviously when our speed will be greater than something 0 or 0.1 or something like that. For that, well, right here we have conditions. We can click plus and we can make speed greater than. To avoid errors, it's best practice to make it 0.1 instead of 0. So I will make my transition condition to be greater than 0.1. Now let's select transition from run to idle. Again, no exit time, transition duration 0. And conditions, well, this time speed will be less than 0.1. And that's all for the transition to run from idle. Now let's work on our jumping. So I will select my transition from idle to jump. Again, no exit time, transition duration 0. And now as a condition, instead of speed, I will change it to be grounded. And well, we want to be able to jump when we are not grounded. So I will make our grounded to be false. Now, for the running to jumping, again, no exit time, transition duration 0. And again, grounded will be false. And now let's select transition from jump to idle. No exit time, but in this case, I will leave transition duration how it is. Well, actually, let's make it 0.2. I think it will work fine because I want my jumping to play before we transition back to idle. Otherwise, our animations might look weird, and I will show you. But this time condition will be is grounded will be true because we want to be idle when we are on the ground. And that's pretty much it, how you can transition between animations. And now only thing that is left is to use those parameters, the speed and grounded, into our script. For that, let's open script. First of all, we will need reference to our animator controller, so animator component that we have into our soldier, this one. And well, let's create private animator. Let's call this one anim simply. And now in the start, let's use getComponent method, just like we did with the character controller. So we will say anim equals getComponent. Component name this time is animator, brackets, and semicolon. Now we are able to use our anim. Now let's scroll down, and here after our else if flip, but make sure that you are still in the update loop, inside update loop, and don't go outside of this closing bracket. So here we can say anim.setBool, for example, and let's open our brackets, and in quotation marks we should say name of our parameter, boolean parameter. Our boolean was named grounded. That we should type it correctly with the capital and lowercase letters. So in my case, I have it with the capital first letter. So I will say grounded, comma, and as a condition I will add is grounded, because our is grounded is controlling our jumping and wherever we are grounded or not. And well, for the second parameter was float, so we will say anim.setFloat, quotation marks, brackets and quotation marks, and here we will say speed with a capital S, just like we have here, speed. And well, we can say here horizontal, which is controlling our horizontal input. But if we just say horizontal, we will have one problem, because when we go on the right side, when we will run on the right side, everything will work fine. But when we will run on the left side, our running animation will not play. That will happen because in the animator, in the conditions, we know that in order to run, our speed should be greater than 0.1. And it will be true when we are moving on the right side. But when you are moving on the left side in Unity, sometimes those numbers might get to negative points, negative numbers. And to avoid all of that complications, we will use a little bit of math here. And in front of horizontal, we will say mathf.abs, which is absolute. And one more brackets, closing and opening brackets, and we can save this script. Basically, that's pretty much it. Very simple way how to use our parameters. And now if we go back and if we hit play, everything should work fine. Well, let's see. Yeah, indeed, we are running perfectly fine. Let's jump. Yeah, we are jumping fine. And you see, when we jump, our jumping looks fine. But for a moment, what I will do, I will make transition from jump to idle. I will select it. And as you remember, we did not make transition duration 0 in this case. And I want to show you why. So for example, if we make it 0 and if we hit play, our jumping might look weird. Let's jump. And yeah, you see it happens a little bit too fast. I mean transition back to idle state. And well, it pretty much looks weird. So for that, I will make jump transition from jump to idle to have transition duration of 0.2, which is, I think, fine number. So basically we can save this scene.